Well, welcome to Star Sports Irish Greyhound Derby Zoom Room. What a final in prospects at Shelbourne Park next Saturday night. The semi-finals were sensational. The final is brilliant. I'm pleased to say I'm joined by Lofty, of course, who's going to take us through the betting in just a moment, and Ian Fortune, Irish broadcaster extraordinaire, who's been enjoying all the action. And I think enjoying is the key word in the case of this year's Derby in particular. But Lofty, really, really open final. What are we looking at for the betting?
Yeah, I mean, we're a little bit short of explosive boy than some of the other firms, but I've seen firms looking about it's 11 or 4 to field in places. We've got the only dog we've actually laid is Explosive Boy. We laid 2 dogs really at the start, Explosive Boy and Jemana Bucko, unfortunately got injured in the first round. And it's been about, there was those 2 dogs anti-post all the way. So short of Explosive Boy, just because of liabilities, we're 2 to 1 about him. So in theory, we're bigger prices the rest. We're 11 to 4 Susie Sapphire. 3 all about Ted, 4 Jack's Little Thing, 14 Sing Along Sally, and 25 to 1 the outsider Carrigain North.
Yeah, I've certainly seen shorter prices for the likes of Susie Sapphire than that. So worth taking a look at the Star Sports website. Wow, what a night it was on Saturday, Ian. I mean, those races were fantastic. We've got, I know every Irish Derby is brilliant, but this is a really good final, isn't it?
Yeah, tremendous final. A lot has to be said about this was the first year we introduced the spreading of the seeds, and the racing has been lovely and clean. We faced into 2 red hot heats last week in the second semi-final, and the previous week when the likes of Explosive Boy and Ballymac area and Jacob Tashley clashed, and for all that we were concerned that there'd be traffic, they were so cleanly run, and it was just tremendous to see. And as a result, a lot of the big names are still there. Obviously, we've lost a few along the way, but it's a cracking final. Really looking forward to it. And the draw is as close to near perfect as you can get. I suppose you may have swapped the 2 ladies on the inside, but other than that, I don't think there can be any complaints.
Well, let's talk about Susie Sapphire first of all, because she is the only unbeaten finalist. What a bitch she has been. Won that ridiculously hot semi-final on Saturday night, and she's just so consistent, isn't she? And so young still.
Yeah, she's November. It's ridiculous. She's still a baby. She won the Puppy Oaks in fine style. You could tell through that stake that she was going to get better. Then she arrived up in the Irish Oaks thinking she was probably too young. Bang. Unbelievable through that. And then she was due to come in season. If that had been the case, they might have tried to get her back for the juvenile derby, but she didn't come in season. And they said, well, why not have a crack at the derby? And here we are. A matter of weeks later, she's unbeaten. She's bidding to become the first Greyhound since College Causeway to go through the derby unbeaten. She's bidding to become the first bitch this century to win the derby. It hasn't been achieved since springtime in 1999. And by all accounts, if she avoids Sing Along Sally in those first 2 strides, she's going to lead into the back straight, and it's going to be a case of catch me if you can.
And we heard from Ian McKenna that actually things have not all been well at his kennel in the week leading up to that semi-final. He's had a bit of coughing, and she was affected.
Yeah, a lot of coughing, a lot of kennel sickness around the area, and a lot of non-runners around the country over the last 3 or 4 weeks. I know Explosive Boy wasn't immune to it either. I think he had a bit of something. Pat Guilfoyle, a number of non-runners. I think it was quarter-final night. He had a number of non-runners around the country. It's affected every kennel. So, I just wouldn't be surprised if each and every dog at some point had a little bit of a concern. But yeah, Susie Sapphire, it probably did play a part last week. She cramped up a little bit, but it was warmer conditions, better conditions on Saturday night, and she held on from a fast finishing Explosive Boy by a head. It was an unbelievable display, and as I said, she's in trap 1 the Derby final. That's where you want to be for her anyway.
Absolutely. And Sing Along Sally on her outside, as you said, 2 bitches occupying the 2 inside boxes. So she would rather be in trap 1. She turned markedly left from trap 3. So 2 is an improvement, but the Buckleys would rather have her in 1.
I would say they're happy enough, to be honest. She's a bit like Dear Jet Sydney. Obviously a kennel companion of hers, English Derby winner in 2020. She probably breaks better from 2 or 3 than she would from the inside box. There's no question she's going to dive inwards, but she's never really done any harm to herself by diving inwards. It's generally the dogs on her inside. That's been the case. Herself and Dear Jet Sydney do the same. They just seem to ride the bumps very, very well indeed. She took on a couple of very talented types in the inside of her the other night, and she just cut across them and said, no, that's my line, I'm taking it. She's going to need to absolutely flash from boxes, because Susie Sapphire is electric at traps, and it's that first 2 or 3 strides where she just gets racing. She may well miss Susie Sapphire, because Susie could be gone on her.
Carrigain North goes in trap 3. Is it fair to say that's the sort of surprise package, certainly the outsider of the final?
Yeah, he was a dog that did catch the eye from the early rounds, but he's definitely improved through the stake. Obviously, his clocks in the last 3 weeks are very similar, 63, 65 and 68, but missed the kick a bit last week, but I thought ran very hard to qualify. Delighted for the Buggy family. They really are a great Greyhound family. They've had 3 semi-finalists in the previous 4 years, Kilgraney Master, Kilgraney Ace, and last year Catch Me Flying. So they finally got over the line to get one into the Derby final. And to be honest, that would have been their aim last Saturday night. Anything now is a bonus. He's 25-1 with yourselves. I wouldn't be surprised, on Saturday night if he was even bigger. I think he needs an awful lot of luck, although the draw is certainly in his favour.
I mean, what a great story for them. Like you said, they've gone so close so often. It's nice, we've got all the big name trainers there. It is nice to have that representation there, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And it's very much a family operation. Larry and Rose Buggy and young Thomas, the trainer now. And, Thomas is a serious individual. He's good with his greyhounds. His results are there. Every year he just seems to find one. And here we are again with Carrigain North. It would be an unbelievable story. As I said, it's very much a family-run operation, and they're proper Greyhound people. They're in the game a long time, and for them to have a Derby finalist is massive. It's probably one of the great storylines of this year's Derby, to be honest.
Explosive Boy was the Antipode's favourite, so he'll go in trap 4 for Pat Guilfoyle, who I think is a magician with a dog. Absolutely love Explosive Boy. Do you think he's lived up to those expectations in the competition?
I think he's been very good. And I think he may well win the Derby on Saturday night. But I was expecting to do a 29-10 at some point. May still come. Might come on Saturday night. I suppose Ballymac Ariel sort of caught him on the hop a couple of nights, and I suppose that's why we're sort of going. He's been beaten 3 nights in a row, and he's still Derby favourite. That goes to say it all. Obviously, his liability is a serious issue there. But I spoke to a couple of men. Wouldn't be surprised if he was even shorter on Saturday night, and that's nothing to do with liabilities with the on-course bookmakers. Just from the draw. But the fact that we know he's going to hit the lids, Susie Sapphire, if Susie Sapphire didn't have Sing Along Sally, she'd certainly start favourite. But Sing Along Sally is in trap 2, and you can't escape that. And Explosive Boy, well, we know he's going to hit the lids because he never misses it. Pat Guilfoyle has been there, done that, worn the T-shirt. Another great family operation. He's won the Derby with good news. His sire, the sire of Explosive Boy, bidding to become just the second Greyhound, I believe, to win a Derby and sire a Derby winner. And Explosive Boy, well, we know where he's going to be in the corner. He's going to be right there, banging contention. If he gets around in front on Saturday night, not too often you get picked up in a Derby final. And if he did happen to hit the front, he'll take some catching. I know a lot of firms are really, tail between the legs here with Explosive Boy. I think a few shrewd individuals, those last 3 or 4 days prior to the Derby, they just said, right, he's going to be running in the Derby. Everything's good to this point. Let's kick on. And the world's 1 or 2 firms went 16, 14. That quickly disappeared. He started about the shortest price Derby favourite I can remember.
Yeah, he really was. And that was a great battle, although the places didn't change on Saturday night. He came so close to catching Susie Sapphire. The two of them were really head-to-head. I think there was just a head or a neck in it in the end. He finishes strong. If he's handy, does he have to lead for the final?
He doesn't have to lead, but he'd have to have the right dog in front of him. Like, it probably would need to be Susie Sapphire. I can't see him picking up any of the remainder. But he probably does have the measure of the remaining 4. It is Susie Sapphire that's his problem, getting around her. But again, Sing Along Sally could be the fly in her ointment. So, Explosive Boy, I think he'll start Derby favourite. And as I've said, he had a little bit of sickness, be it a couple of weeks ago now, but maybe when the haze is lifted, you might just see a very different Explosive Boy in Derby final night. And as I said, Pat Guilfoyle is an absolute master trainer, and he could easily grab a second Derby success.
Absolutely. You did touch on Ballymac Ariel there. Sadly, she did go out the Derby. You put the mockers on her, tipping her up. I'm blaming you for that one. Jack's little thing, I think it's fair to say, is the dog that's probably caught the eye most through the Derby. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, he's been a dog. He won 6 in a row prior to last Saturday night. It was his first defeat in quite some time. He's just a dog. I suppose he doesn't really get the plaudits he should, because he's very much an all-rounder. He's not the fastest at the corner. He's not the fastest down the back, and he's not the fastest up the home straight, but he's probably the one Greyhound that can put all 3 together better than any of the rest. In a solo trial or in a solo run race, he's probably likely to go faster than his 5 rivals in the final. It's just a case of those first 3 or 4 strides. He's going to need to absolutely explode from boxes, do his 3:36, which he does have on the card. And if he does that, he could easily be there pitching at the opening corner. But the fact that Explosive Boy and Susie Sapphire are up his inside, he's going to need something special. I think the 4-1 is, I'd probably want about 5s, to be honest. And I think the 4-1 is about the best that's out there. I think on the night he might be a little drifter.
Okay, and then trap 6, All About Ted for Peter Cronin. I've really loved this dog since we saw him at Toaster. I think it was his attitude that really caught my eye, and he seems to be getting better and better as well.
I'm not sure if Lofty was there last year with the Winter Racing Festival, which is formerly known as the Night of Stars. He absolutely took off in defeat. The whole world saw him and got talking about him. We waited and waited and waited. He never returned to the track until basically before the English Derby. I think he'd one run down in Limerick. It was clear that he always had the talent. He just had to have a run of races, and through this Derby he's improved with each and every start. And last week 29.23 off a 3:38, just absolute professional. He's perfectly drawn in trap 6. If he hits the lids and is there on the corner, you know, they say you can't get around from the outside. Well, Jack's Little Thing likely to cut across the fence, and Explosive Boy wanting the inside, he might just get the clear run. His connections can go into a Derby final. Really hopeful that they're going to land a first Derby success for Peter Cronin. I think he's a big player in this competition. Obviously, he's going to need to do everything right, but the same could be said for all 5 rivals.
And again, Peter Cronin, a man who is absolutely magic with a greyhound as well. From Ian's little summary there, Lofty, it sounds like the Irish Derby final is as competitive as the betting suggests. Have you got a dog that you're going to pin your colours to?
But not really. It's just, as Ian said, I think if we reverse the inside 2 boxes, and then certainly I think Susie Sapphire would have started favourite. That's the only slight negative. And I said to you exactly what Ian said beforehand, but I was chatting to you before Ian come online, wasn't it, saying that if Susie Sapphire and Sing Along Sally were reversed, because you know she had that little dart towards the rails. After seeing the semi-finals the other night, I mean, Explosive Boy, I mean, he was a lengthy fun at the boxes, and Susie Sapphire within 2 strides had gone past him. I mean, her early pace is just electrifying, and they say if she can, like, just to avoid 2, I think, early doors, then, you know, that's, I think, the key to the race. I think the race could be won after literally 5 or 6 strides. It's one of those sort of races, but I wouldn't say blink and you'd miss it, but, you know, it's very hard to rule any dog out at all. I mean, we've been through this one before. All About Ted, we saw him say during the English Derby, and he certainly grew during that, got the semi-finals. A lot of people wanted to be on him on finals night in one of the supporting opens. He was a very lucky winner there, admittedly, and with the trouble at the corner. But, you know, he's a dog who say is going the right way and having a run like through this Irish Derby. He's improved steadily throughout it. And, you know, trap 6, pinging out on the night. I think he's got a lovely draw out wide. There's the salt wide out there. Sometimes you say, wide's on the outside at Shelbourne getting around. I always think it's better to be on the inside at Shelbourne. You get the inside outside debate wherever you go. And I think the early pace dogs, you know, are on the inside. But look, it's a great final. Explosive Boy. I'll be shutting my eyes at the corner. I'll be there on Saturday night, thinking to myself the liability we've got. And as Ian said, I think we laid 14, we laid 12, we laid 10, we were laying 8. I think this is ridiculous. You know, 130, 40 run a stake, and they want to take 8 to 1 a dog in an uber competitive stake, and it was just ridiculous. And I think, as we said, it was the shortest price anti-post favourite at the start of any competition, and we've really not at any stage through it. And we thought to ourselves, we've actually got half a chance of getting this out, you know, or getting this beaten. Even though he's been beaten the last couple of times by Ballymac Aerial and of course by Susie Sapphire the other night. He's still there pitching, and you know he's not got a bad draw here. He's been beaten a couple of times. We had him for plenty in the Kirby final, and he got beat on a bad draw there. And we laid him in the produce at Clonmel when he almost went out in the first round with an horrendous draw from trap 6. So you can get him beat with a draw sometimes, but you know it's not me tonight to do the draw. So I think the draw's worked out almost perfectly. We've done the Irish Derby draw final. It's been other than 1 and 2, it's been a great draw. But just looking forward to it. Should be a great night and a great occasion. And looking forward to being there. Maybe a little bit different to the usual Irish derbies we know and love, but it's like, you know, I tend to make my annual pilgrimage go over there to see a few people, and yeah, it's always a good night. So looking forward to it immensely.
You did well there. You spoke for about a minute, Lofty, without giving me a tip. Come on, give us a name.
I could be a fence sitter. I hate to want to think Explosive Boy will win, but I could just see 1 and 2 coming together, and I can just see Explosive Boy being in front of the corner and thinking, oh no, where's my P45 coming through the post?
Ian, you're going to have to tip one up. Come on.
What's that TikTok song? Do you ever hear the TikTok? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. I can see Chapman launching into that off the second Ben getting ready to slap him on the hand. I'd love to see the bookmakers squirm, and I just have a feeling that, as Lofty called it there, it's only going to take the slightest of touches between the top 2. and Explosive Boy could easily skip around the corner in front. If he misses it ever so slightly, 5 and 6 are certainly capable of playing their part in proceedings. I've changed my mind about 4 or 5 times, to be honest. I thought there was no question Susie Sapphire would escape sing along Sally. She's so electric at boxes. But actually, the last 2 nights, as Lofty said, she's not been absolutely on fire from traps, but it's that first 2 or 3 strides acceleration. If she's bumped when she's trying to make that move, she might just suffer. And I'll go with Explosive Boy. Yeah, he was one of the shortest priced Derby favourites of all time prior to the off of the actual competition. He'll be short enough on Saturday night, I think. And yeah, I can see him leading before the corner and making the bookmakers cry.
And for those of us over here, you know, we didn't see Explosive Boy at Taster in our derby this year, but do you think he would come next year?
I would say highly doubtful. He's already been committed to Standard Stud in Australia with the meticulous stud, Peter Sutcliffe. He seems a shrewd individual. I wouldn't be surprised if he won on Saturday night if that was it. Even though he's young, I'm sure Pat Guilfoyle will have other ideas. He brought back good news, and I'd say they'd love to do so again. The fact that Pat Guilfoyle trains him suggests you're probably not going to see him in Toaster. He did take the sabbatical 1 year. He is a school teacher. Which shows his patience. You know, he obviously has the patience with both the children and the dogs. He went over with Skywalker Logan. I don't think he'll be taking another sabbatical, so I can't see him traveling over with Explosive Boy.
Oh, well, I would love to see him over here. I'd love to see all of these dogs over here. Such a great final. And Lofty, I know you're going, and Ian, obviously you'll be working. So have a great time at Shelbourne on Saturday night. Lofty, Ian needs a run at taking beer to him up in the commentary box. So I think you've got a job there.
It loosens the lips, Lofty. It loosens the lips. Give me 3 or 4 now. I'll be away in a hack.
Definitely. Might see you Slattery's for a pre-race point anyway. So.
That's the tradition.
Well, I wish I was joining you guys. It's a great final, and enjoy it, and may the best dog win.